The daunting aspect of the 2020 renewal of the National Yearling Sale was that there were always going to be very, very good horses on offer. But with the economic situation being what it is, and with COVID-19, were there going to be the commensurate buyers? Is that more or less the thinking that the board and you had as the CEO of the TBA?
Absolutely, Andrew. I think we were all very nervous, or certainly I was, and nervous on behalf of our breeders, because we just don't know what to expect in this market. Obviously, there was quite a considerable number of withdrawals from the sale. Again, I think people were nervous to spend the money, travel their horses all the way to Joburg, not knowing what was actually going to happen, what the sort of depth of the buyer's bench was going to be. That definitely made certainly myself and I think a lot of the breeders very nervous. And I think the big thing as well was that the new initiative from BSA, having the online bidding platform, or bidding lounge if you want to call it that, had so many people able to literally bid in real time, talking to an auctioneer, or rather talking to a bid spotter in real live time, and being able to bid like that. And that was very, very successful.
In many ways, what you have done at the 2020 renewal of the National Yearling Sales is lift the spirits of people, buyers, owners, trainers, breeders alike. And you've bought Hawwaam, full brother, from Wilgeborgsdrift. It's a fairy story for many people, but more than anything else, we would like to say congratulations for making a line in the sand for South African breeding and racing.
Andrew, yeah, thank you. Talking about the brother, full brother to Hawwaam, it was not even something that I was dreaming about, because ultimately you would think a sheikh to buy a horse like that. You would expect that horse to leave the country. It was a bit impulsive, but when I saw the opportunity that I was actually going to be able to buy him, it made me very excited. It's a super horse, fantastic breeding, and that's what horse breeding is about. It's about genetics. It has a super mother, and that's something that I've learned from the Warmblood breeding. You know, that's what success in horses is about, is quality in the dam line, and you can't get better. That just motivated me to carry on until I got the horse. And I expected someone else to buy the horse, not me. So you can think, I am, a little bit overwhelmed, but that is the way I want to enter thoroughbred breeding, is by accumulating top genetics for the mares that I would be looking for, so that one has an opportunity to produce what's needed. Firstly, to be at these kind of sales, and secondly, to be competitive. Because the bottom end of the market, unfortunately, is not where we want to be.
The most remarkable thing is that we are sitting in a place that has been a champion breeder for many years, for at least a decade. And behind you is the first unraced son of Northern Dancer ever to come to South Africa, a horse called Northern Guest. Now, he was the granddaddy of them all in South Africa, champion broodmare sire. And this horse that you've acquired now, he doesn't even have to race to be a stallion. Rainbow Bridge, Golden Ducat and Hawwaam already stamp him as a stallion, and I'm sure that was factored into your bidding.
The exciting thing for me is that he would be the only stallion in South Africa out of that dam line, because two of them are gelded and the third one is leaving the country. So he will be the only one that has the opportunity to become a breeding stallion. If he makes it in racing, obviously he needs to race to prove his quality. But as you say, and Manfred was saying the same thing yesterday, you don't even have to breed him to race him. He's got everything it takes to make him a top sire. But yeah, we know that ultimately we would like to prove that.
You know, obviously Henning is the new custodian of Summerhill. There's so much history and a legacy from the farms, Summerhill and the Hartford farm, from the days back of Mowgli and the Ellises, and the fact that Summerhill under McGoss's custodianship had 10, not quite consecutive, but 10 Breeders' Championships. So there's a huge legacy there for the thoroughbred industry in South Africa.
And a big responsibility.
A huge responsibility. And, you know, not knowing, Henning obviously is a horse lover, but his background is warm bloods more than anything else, and not knowing what his real the thoughts are behind the thoroughbred breeding side. It was very, very encouraging. Obviously, he's offering boarding to thoroughbred mares that want to stay on at Summerhill. He's maintained some of the stallions. But to see him actually invest and support the industry as a new breath of fresh air, as you say, a new person, new money coming into the game, is really, really encouraging, and I think it can only be positive for the industry as a whole, and certainly for KZN breeders, because if he's going to look at having that calibre of horse potentially standing as a stallion at Summerhill and investing in good bloodstock, which I think is his intention, to build up and bulk up what's already there, I think it's going to be very encouraging for the industry as a whole and for KZN specifically.
But the gut feel that you possess as a leading seller and leading breeder of Warmbloods, that horse sense and that horse knowledge told you that this horse is very well conformed with his superb pedigree.
Under an apple tree you find apples. When you breed from a mare like that, you can only expect quality. And it's not a difficult decision to make, and you don't need to be advised to know that, because all the information is there for any person to make a very simple decision. It was all about price. Would one afford him, or would there be stronger buyers that would take him away from South Africa? And gladly the horse can stay here, and let's hope it all goes well in his training.
Well, we're talking about staying here. It is your philosophy that breeding Warmbloods, they need time. It's a completely different philosophy to the one in Europe. You give your horses plenty of time on the farm to grow out and for their knees to close and all the rest of it. And I gather from our behind-the-scenes discussions that this will be the case.
Look, I know very little about thoroughbred racing, but ultimately, you want a horse like that to mature before you take everything out of him, and make sure that he's well developed and he has the opportunity to grow. But ultimately, I've got to be led by the experts, and I will definitely get the right advice. But firstly, he's going to Summerhill, and from there we'll make a decision what happens to him going forward.
There's a lot of respect in this game. There's also a lot of jealousy. It just goes with success. But the one thing that we do know is that Robin Bruss bred Do It Again amongst many other horses, and he has a very small band of broodmares scattered around South Africa, but his philosophy remains the same, and that is an attractive one.
Yeah, it's something to learn from, obviously, but that should be the rule for any breeder. The problem is people sometimes try to take shortcuts. See a nice horse and you think you can breed from it. And it goes for any sport, whether show jumping, horse racing, dressage. You have to have it in the breeding. Otherwise, you can't expect the performance.
We talk about blue hens. I would gather that it's probably the same in show jumping. Do you have these blue hens like Halfway to Heaven that just keep on throwing you horses like Don Camarco, for example?
Absolutely. You have to make a proper study of the dam lines, because you will find that two full sisters won't give the same results. The one sister would breed all the performances, and the other one would breed nothing. So even though they are full sisters, and people talk about half sisters and things like that, doesn't count. You've got to breed from the actual horse that produces the goods. That's the X factor, and that's the challenge, is to find them.
Well, if ever I've seen X Factor, it has to be the embodiment of just about near perfection with Halfway to Heaven. You send her to Silvano, you send her to Ideal World, you send her to Philanthropist, and she just delivers the goods. I mean, that's freaky.
Yeah, first I heard about the full brother to Hawwaam, and then I learned about his mother. I didn't know his breeding until I got here. When I saw it in the catalogue, I knew where the quality came from. On top of it, it's a Jetmaster mare who is the champion broodmare sire, and that is even more important for me.
I think a lot of people don't actually realize that even though Jetmaster won 8 Grade 1 races from 1,000 meters to 1,600 meters, that he only had about 70% of his wind, which is also scary to think that a horse could have been that good, but could have been even better.
Yeah, well, the story about Jetmaster is also something that's very new to me. And it's a very interesting story and a very successful story. And ultimately, yeah, that's what I've learned in the few days that I've been involved in this whole action.
Okay, what else have you bought, and what were your motives for buying the other horses that you have acquired?
Firstly, Andrew, I think it's important, when we look at the top stallions in the country and we look at the situation in Natal, it's important that we find substitutes for the better stallions in the Cape and stand them in Natal for the Natal breeders. I think that's one of the motivations that motivated me to do what I did, with the plan to have a stallion that not only I can breed from, but that's also available to the Natal breeders. Something with real quality. Now, Trippy's son that I bought with a lot of quality out of a top dam line. And it's the same story. It's all about performance in the dam line. The filly, she comes out of a top dam line. I don't intend to buy fillies and having to race them. My aim is to find broodmares, black type broodmares, so that I can breed from them. But this filly was just something that was in my face the whole time. And looking at her superb dam line and the performance in the dam line, it's something that one could invest in.
And on top of it all, you have luminaries, people that have really been in this game for a long time and know exactly what they're doing, in Drakenstein and Main Chance Farms, chasing the same blood.
Unfortunately, yes. Yes, unfortunately, you have people that were desperate to buy both these horses, and unfortunately, I was the one that was a little bit more motivated.
There's so much to talk about, but I have to try and ask you what it feels like inside, the adrenaline rush. Because it's easy to write out that check when you know that there's equity in something. But this calculation inside that head of yours must have told you that it was something that you just had to go the extra mile for.
One thing that I have learned is breeding in horses. And for me, it's a new project. And that's the most excitement that you can have. And that's what really drives me, is the fact that it's something new. People must always have something, to live for and have some motivation. Now, there can be no more motivation than this. But we're looking forward to the coming season, and there's a lot of interest. So hopefully, going forward, we will see more performance from these stallions. And again, it's not about my breeding, it's about supporting the Natal breeders. And let's hold thumbs.
The glorious feeling that we as city slickers get when we drive around those hallowed grounds of Summerhill, because however you look at it, it's been a place of great joy, of great success, and you must be very proud, very pleased, very excited about waking up and driving around this beautiful property, improving it, making little changes, putting the Henning Pretorius stamp on it.
It's a farm with a very good feel to it. Several legacies. And the challenge is to keep these legacies going and to write new history and to do things that continues the legacies that exists. And I think that's the challenge. But it's a nice one. It's a beautiful farm with a very good feel to it. And it's nice waking up there and seeing the surroundings and the mountain and the mist and the frost and whatever. Yes, it's a nice one.
These horses that you've acquired, they're coming back home to be under your beady eye, your staff, to grow out, to mature. It must be very exciting to know that you're in charge of their destiny from here onwards.
Yes, that will be until they start their racing career. But fortunately, I do have the facility to accommodate them, and it would be nice to see them, on a regular basis, and to see them adapt and develop. But ultimately, they've got to go to a racing yard.
And that decision will be taken in time to come, or have you got some broad brush strokes as to where you think they're going to end up?
No idea at this stage. It's something that I need to be educated about. It's an important decision because that will ultimately determine their future and their success.
Hy sal dit wees, soos hy lyk. Hy's sterk gebou, skouers, lekker sterk skouers. Nee, ek dink hy sal 'n goeie reisieperd wees. Ek weet nie wie gaan hom afrig nie, maar ek dink daar wat hy gaan sal hy 'n goeie geaardheid hê. Want by my wat ek bewys, hy het 'n goeie geaardheid wat hy by my gewees het. Ek kan weer sê die tyd in April maand was hy nie so perd soos hy nou is nie. Hy het baie verbeter in hy kan ek sê daai 3 maande se tyd het hy baie verbeter. Nou, ek voel nogal, wat kan ons doen? Ons het mos hom kom afgee. Nou was maar nog net die prys betaal daarvoor, maar ons het 'n goeie prys gekry vir hom. Dit kan ek nie klaar voor nie. Maar is 'n goeie perd.
Hawwaam shot clear, 120 left to go from South Africa to the world. This is Hawwaam. This is what he can do. Hawwaam is special from a special racehorse. Hawwaam, the son of Silvano, under Anton Marcus for Mark de Kock, and the colours are Sheikh Hamdan bin Rashid Al Maktoum, and that will silence the doubters.